Hey guys, welcome back to the Veloce channel. That's me, or you can call me Seth, as always. So I'm hoping this is the last video of this garage build saga. I'm sure things will still slightly change and improve over time, but I think I'm gonna get to the point where I'll be done for at least for a good while, or for now. And that includes the motion sim rig. I'm hoping to make my final adjustments and get that dialed into at least how it's going to be for a while, as well as the rest of the studio room. So things are going to change once again, but hopefully stay this way for at least a decent amount of time. Starting with what's going to change. So I did get that cable management done last video, and functionally it works. I mean, from the front it looks pretty clean, but overall I could do better. So one thing I want to fix. All right, so PC's currently on the floor, and that just kind of looks like garbage. And then another issue I have, the cables running all the way to this desk over here. They're 25 feet and they're being stretched, and I don't really want the cables. In any scenario, you would never really see those in like filming conditions when I'm all said and done. But I don't want to risk somebody tripping on them and breaking a port or something. And overall, I think it looks pretty amateur hour. So I moved my original desk next to here. I had the toolbox there. I kind of wanted that shop look on this wall. But in order for the cables to be routed cleanly, the desk, it has to be either there, or I can kind of make it kind of look kind of garbage and put it there. But I want access in and out of the garage still. I cleared out that space a little, so I moved the 3D printer over there. The other thing is getting right cable length. So I am trying to plan out what I need to order to make this place nicer. So I'm gonna get some cable tracks and stick them to the roof to have this cable go all the way over down for the power supply. And then this shelf I'm gonna move right behind the rig, and I'll have the actuator power box on the bottom one, and then I'm gonna have the PC sit on the top shelf, which means I'm gonna have to order DisplayPort cables and power cables longer in order to get it to reach and route nicely. So right now I'm trying to figure out what lengths I need, what parts and stuff I need to order, really working out just the little kinks here and there. There is one thing I almost forgot. I actually I unbolted this 45 from the upright here to see while driving how much worse the movement might be, if it caused it to shake more. Because physically, I can hee-ho it and make it wobble and move with my arm, but while driving, honestly, doesn't make that much of a difference. So I think I can just go away with the 45s completely, which would free up the shifter arm, so I can mount the shifter arm wherever I want, give me much more space in this area to do more with. So I'm gonna try that. And then the other thing I'm gonna try is actually use this bar that I'm using as a 45, and instead of running these long bars over the top, running them off the side, which I always wanted to avoid because I was worrying about strength. Now that I know I don't really necessarily need absolute 100% rigidity, that I could get away with maybe mounting it off the side. That way I don't have these bars interfering there, even though they're not really an issue. And once again, potentially cleaner, simpler, and lighter. So I'm gonna test that out too. There's a million other things I plan on messing around with, but I think we'll just get to work and talk as we go. It's a new day. I don't remember where I left off or what I was doing, but a couple things happened since then. I moved all my stuff off this desk over here. I traded seat brackets with my buddy, so I got my old red sparkle ones back, and I have it maxed out on lean angle. And check out that lean angle, dog. Come on. Sick, am I right? It's way comfier, and great news is my eye level is exactly the same. I believe, I mean, it's like super close, so I don't have to like raise or lower the screens. And instead of being 30 inches away from the screens, from the center screen, I'm 31 inches away, so I could just move the seat forward an inch and I'll be good there, which is perfectly fine with the steering wheel because the steering wheel actually has to come a little bit closer to me, so no issues there, and I can move the pedals no problem. I'm looking at the height of the pedals. I could probably leave the height of the pedals just fine. Actually, I think it might be even better where they're at, but I feel I got like a ton of lean before. So there's like a couple ways to measure this. So I got my phone here. If you do it vertically, but if I put it here on this cushion, what am I at? 32 degrees, 33 degrees, 32, something like that. Before, I think I was at about 20 to 22. So that's a good change. Now, if you measure from this way, from horizontal, and you go, then it's like 60 degrees or 57 or something. So I'm not quite sure which dimension people are measuring by to compare, but regardless, I got a perfect amount of lean. I was thinking of maybe even going one touch higher to not have it so aggressive on the lean, but when I sat in there, it was just so comfortable that I think I'm just gonna leave it like that. And I think it's still pretty accurate for a GT3 position. I don't think it's quite enough lean. Give me a sec here. I don't think it's quite enough lean to be a full like prototype or formula position. You can see it's a decent amount there, but even then, maybe it could be considered a hybrid. I don't know, but it's comfy and that makes me happy. And then another cool thing is that these brackets actually have a plate on the bottom. And if I was to mount transducers, I can mount them to this plate underneath and then put those rubber isolator things to not have it translate to the rest of the chassis. So that's just one less thing that I would have to, get custom made. So that's nice as well. But now I'm gonna tackle taking off the supports out and the shifter out so I can try my new method and hopefully final method. Got the seat position and angle dialed in. The shifter I lowered quite a bit, and actually I think I still want to go a little bit lower, and which might make me reposition the Stream Deck. And I would like to get some tilt out of that, but I don't think I can tilt it, at least with how I have it mounted now. And I think I want to relocate the motion power switch just to look a little bit cleaner now that I have more space down there. And just so you can see how much space here, I was also able to push this bar a little farther out this way to support a little bit farther out instead of being like over here, which is close to the 90. Just get a little bit more leverage out there. Basically, I got it as far out as I could while being able to put a 90 bracket on both sides, and then I'll add more. I would like to get those double 90 brackets that have 2 bolts on each side for here, and I wouldn't be able to do it there, but I could, well, if I relocate this, I could do it on at least the bottom and maybe on the sides as well, that would get it really tight. And I could always just add more, another 45, and it won't be as much of a problem. It won't collide with the shifter anymore if I do find out I need more support and need a 45. But I don't think I'm gonna honestly need all that. Like I said, if I wiggle this, it wiggles the whole rig. There is a little bit more flex overall, but I don't think it's gonna be a problem when it comes to the forces of the motion with just the monitor on it. So now I just got to do it to the other side. It is nice not having the bar obstructing there. So overall, I think this is going to be a better solution. Oh, and another thing, I don't know if I've talked about this yet, but I was playing with the SimCore mount because if you look on this side, I have the SimCore mount mounted traditionally. It's straight, but due to the size of the monitors, it actually blocks quite a bit of the monitor, which while driving really isn't a problem because there's not really anything meaningful. It's just, you know, black dashboard down there anyways. But when I'm navigating through menus or just, you know, trying to see the taskbar on the computer becomes kind of annoying. And especially like on this side, the iRacing chat box, when you're not in the car, shows up right here. So what I did is I angled the SimCore mount, basically just because, you know, 2 bolts up and bottom. I took out that little black support bracket that does make it nice if you want to make like quick adjustments, but I don't really need that. And then I just changed the angle here. So when you're sitting in the rig, it might be different now due to this. I might have to change it again due to the seat lean. Where it was, my eye line this would just go straight to the bottom of the screen. Where my eye line was, it wouldn't block at all. Now the only problem is the upright still kind of blocks a little bit, but it's not really a huge deal. And I could lower the uprights further. If I wanted to absolutely not cover any screen, I could change to the SimCore mount that just mounts on the bottom. But then I run into issues with leg room. So if you see here, the bottom of the SimiCube, if you imagine, you know, 1.5 inch bar coming here, would be butting right into my leg. I could always lower my pedals to make up for that, but I like to keep a pretty aggressive seating position similar to a real GT3 car, so I don't want to necessarily compromise on that. So that's why I prefer the side mounts. I think in an ideal world, this side mount would come down to the bottom, and that bar would just be like an 1.5 inches lower. And that would probably be the best of both worlds, because then I could get this really low and probably not have anything obstructing the screen while still having the leg clearance, because I only need about up to here. Anything lower than that is where it starts, you know, getting really close to my knees. But running the SimCore mount at an angle is a pretty good compromise, I think. And I actually, now that I changed my seating position, I could afford to lower the steering wheel a little bit more, which could also potentially help a lot more for that situation as well. So it's another new day. I've been kind of scratching away little by little at a time, and sort of not procrastinating. But I did get a lot accomplished. So let's take a look at what's going on and what kind of the game plan going forward is. I got the desk all operational. I got to order another surge protector with a long cable. I want to mount that all underneath so you won't see any of it, so it'll be nice and clean. I want to mount my nano leaf lights above there. I kind of somewhat organized the shelf just to look a little bit nicer. Whoops. These wheels are supposed to be up here. I've been doing some test fitting. There we go. That looks a little bit better. On the rig, I've been really trying to get everything perfectly dialed in. So I think where I left off was working on the seat. Seat's good, but you know, changing one thing led to another. And with the amount of seat angle that I'm running now, an issue I was having was my elbows kind of bumping into this when I got the steering wheel a little bit too close. So I've been kind of playing with the steering position. I did lower it to 14 degrees steering angle before I had it at 18, which was a little bit too steep. And it's been really a balance of trying to keep that 30-inch distance to the eyes and having enough space to get the wheelbase where I wanted to. Where I really wanted it, I had issues with the power cable actually pressing against the display, which wasn't going to be good news, especially long term. I'm sure with shaking and vibrating, it would definitely damage it. So now there's just enough slack back there. And I've been playing with getting this angle right. I had to change this due to the seat angle as well. And now I'm gonna lower this upright by 2 inches, because if you see, it's blocking the, this is ACC in the McLaren. It's blocking the rear dash or the rear camera view. and I would like to minimize that as much as possible, but I basically only have just a little over 2 inches of clearance left on here. But I took some measurements. I had the rig moving all to its max degrees and everything, and it should not collide. So I think we're okay there. I also absolutely tore apart all my cable management because I ordered new power cables, new DisplayPort cables in different lengths. The DisplayPort cables that I ordered have the little like release clips because I just wanted to reduce any chance of, you know, a cable wobbling from the motion and having a disconnected signal while driving and ruining a race. So hopefully that should reduce any headaches in the future. I also have some extra aluminum extrusion, and I do have this ASR PC rack mounting plate. And I think what I'm gonna do is build another stand. That way I can mount a 4th monitor up top. I can mount the microphone to it. I can also mount, you see over there, my ambient lighting, and then it'll all be separate from the motion, so it's not adding more weight to the system. It's also not shaking violently. And then I could also mount the PC to that and get rid of this kind of ugly shelf, and it would just look that much better, that much cleaner, and also be, you know, helpful and functional. Oh, I also forgot to point out the new monitor support system. This was like originally my first idea in my head, but I was like, it's probably not gonna be strong enough, and I never bothered with it. And I kind of wish I just did this from the beginning. I haven't tested it out yet, but honestly, I think it's gonna be totally fine. And it is so much cleaner. It's a lot nicer not having the bars in the center. Yeah, it's just better in every way. Hopefully it works well too, but I think we're okay. Okay, what a huge difference that made. Fortunately, in an ideal world, it would not block the screen at all, but I think I'm pretty satisfied with that for now. So I'll mount the button box back, but I think first, I have this side all bolted up, so now I can undo that side to get that piece angled down. Although honestly, I don't know if it's worth lowering this up right, just because it's already blocked by this. Yeah, I'll probably just do it anyways. Might as well. So, yeah. Okay, let's do this side. Check out that SimCore rigidity, baby. Just being held by one side so I can change the other one. Not bad. Maybe I'll just run one. Super easy access in and out of the rig. I've been going through it. All the perks of the SimCore mount and how they design it to make it easy to use, I kind of just threw out the window by doing this angled mount scenario, and it's been a real pain in the butt. First, when I lowered down this one by 2 inches, and then I lowered this one down by 2 inches, things weren't looking quite right, and I remeasured this one, and I had this one wrong, so I had to completely undo it again, and now it's okay. It's like the worst side for it to happen to, because it's got like the shifter mount and all the extra stuff. Then the SimCore mount, my goal was to basically, you know, tighten one side and then adjust the other side and kind of match it up. But that wasn't also quite lining up. So I just ended up taking it off completely and then trying to match both sides angles as perfectly as I could. So now that's better too. And now I have to get it back on there. It's gonna be a lot more difficult to get it at the perfect angle that I want. So that's fun, but you know, I gotta take everything to the extreme, right? And make it as perfect as possible. Blech. The good news is that like once it's in there, it's done, it's good. Just the sad part is that I kind of lose the simplicity and ease of adjustment that the SimCore mount provides. But it is what it is, so let's throw this on there. So I managed to get quite a bit done. I mounted the first wind tube, kind of test fitting. I think it's gonna sit like right about here, which I think looks pretty good. And then I should be receiving all the rest of the parts in a couple of days. So the goal is to mount the fans, pulling air from down below, mount to the side of the uprights, and then that just blow right into there. Then I think I'm gonna have the right one. I would like to have it how I used to have it, where it was to the right of the button box, but this button box is so wide. Typically, I think the way with my other one is like about this wide and it could fit like right here. But instead, I'm gonna put it, I think, under here and kind of angle it inwards. I did maybe think about like putting it under here, but I have this here and it was starting to look a little too cluttered there. It took me forever to get the steering angle and height perfect, but I think I got it exactly where I want it to be. And it was difficult because of, you know, running these at an angle, but I got it all, you know, even on both sides, and that plus lowering the uprights. I know it's kind of hard to see. I'll turn on the screens later and show what the results look like, but I did a little bit of test driving, and lowering these uprights and angling those pieces down so it blocks as little of the screen as possible actually made a big difference, and it was worth all the trouble and amount of effort it took to do it. So I'm pretty happy about that. And then the next thing I was working on was the cable, kind of figuring out. I'm still waiting on the new cables. But in the meantime, I was trying to kind of plan out where things are going to go. So now I have the USB hub mounted on the bottom of the crossbar, and I'll clean up once. I also have like that cable sheath coming in, so I'm going to sheathe all the cables so they look a little bit nicer. And then, you know, you still have access, pretty easy access to it on the bottom. It's kind of planning my route. So before I had that power surge protector mounted to the side and had the USB here, and it was pretty clean, but when you looked at it from the side, you know, it still looked kind of a mess. So now it's much cleaner here. And then, oh, almost fell. I routed these cables a little bit tighter, and so these will all be sheathed by the time they're set and done, but just kind of, you know, planning what needs to go here, because now, before I had like a ton of power cables coming, you know, around here and wrapped up here, but now it's much more minimal because all those cables are gonna route to that side, which you're less likely to see things on that side, but they're also gonna be done a little bit more neatly and less stuff bulked together. And then obviously the sheath will kind of cover everything up. Also, the support, just running it like this, was definitely enough. I didn't notice it being any more wobbly or anything than it was before. And once again, really, I think stabilizing the back with some preload will make more of a difference than adding any more support. I'm actually really happy with how that's come out. I mean, it's just so much cleaner, simpler, and easier. But I think I'll pause here for a couple days while I wait for the other parts to arrive, and then we'll get back up and running. Well, it's the next day. The stuff came faster than I was expecting. I'm only missing one power cable, a 15-foot power cable, but I got everything else. I got some, what do you call this stuff? I got some like wire loom material. I got some display port cables, like I said, that have the little clip. So I got two 10-foot cables and then one 15-foot cable for the monitor over there because the connector is on the far side. And I got two 10-foot power cables for those two monitors and then a 15-foot that I'm still waiting on because it's all the way on this side. So that's gonna route all the way around and down. And now I'm just kind of planning how things are gonna be routed, where I'm gonna loom them up and play around from there. Okay, so I'm pretty happy with how that looks, but I am kind of struggling getting, because some of the cables are short. The cable for the CSX3 is just coming right through the bottom. I actually don't have any problem with that. I'm fine with that, but I'm getting like all different lengths here and trying to sort how I want this to hook up and look decent, but it's proving to be a bit of a challenge. I could probably just move this more this way, and that way I can fit these shorter cables within the sheath in there. All right, so all the cable management is pretty much done other than that one cable I'm missing that I'll have to route tomorrow. But you see here, all the shifter cables and button boxes and stuff all nicely wrapped. And then the stuff that's going down below is going there. And all the steering wheel cables are going up and into this big loom. And then we have the USB hub pointed downwards here and just coming out as much as they needed. All the extra slack is just rolled up within this large loom, so you don't see any extra slack hanging around. This is the microphone cable that eventually is going to be mounted to its own separate structure, so I didn't bother with that. Yeah, what a huge difference in just cleanliness. We'll check it out from this side. So we got now the surge protector down there. We have, so let's see here. So the DisplayPort cables are joining into here, as well as some of the power cables going downward, and all the DisplayPort and USB cables go up into this loom, into the back of the computer, and then it breaks off down below into this loom for all the power cables into the surge protector there. And what I'm thinking is once I build that separate structure to get rid of this shelf and have a even better PC shelf thing that also holds a fourth monitor, the hue lights above the microphone, and any other accessories that I might need, that I will mount that to it just to get that off the floor, and that will be a little bit cleaner. So this cable is going away tomorrow. That's just temporary for just that single screen right now. I routed that surge protector all the way through, and then it just drops down right there. Eventually I will run it all the way through once I do build that structure, but I just need to know how much extra length I'm gonna need. So I stopped right there for now. Ideally, the best thing is to install an outlet over there, but this is not a permanent location. I don't know when I'd be moving, so I'm not trying to rewire and cut up drywall that isn't mine to cut. So now the thing that I want to tackle is these big open gaps here. It's one of the things that I think still breaks the immersion, and I used to run just this like black felt material that does a great job. So I think what I'm gonna do is just punch some holes into the material and just bolt it in a couple different spots just to hold it there. That'll make it a lot more immersive, less distracting. So take a little mental note of before, and we'll see how it looks after. All right, finally, the final pieces of the puzzle have arrived. I got the WinSim, the Sim Racing Studio one from my buddy. I had some of the other pieces, but he just forgot to send the actual fans and the mounts. He also very kindly sent me this Apex button box that holds the Stream Deck, which makes the Stream Deck look a lot nicer and more complete. And these buttons light up red. I get a couple extra knobs and a funky switch, which is actually really nice for when I'm, like, let's say on Dirt Rally or Assetto Corsa with a drift wheel that doesn't have any buttons. That will definitely, come in clutch to navigate. And then I also finished putting the felt material there, so now it hides a lot better. It was kind of ugly behind there, and it's just, a little bit more immersive when you're in the driver's seat. So it actually came out pretty nice. The material is not like perfectly crease free or anything like that, just because it's kind of, hitting weird angles, and then also this tube is kind of in the way. So if you shine some bright light on it like there, you can kind of see those little ripples and stuff. But when you're driving, I don't think it's going to be a problem. And it's just like fabric, so it's super lightweight. It's not adding anything, any weight to the system. So I think for a really easy, simple mod, it makes a big difference. So now I'm just gonna mount the fans at the bottom pointed downwards so they pull up the cool air from the ground. And then the wiring can just go right underneath. So I shouldn't have to mess with, any of my wiring here. I will have to for the button box a little bit, but I think all the fan wiring will be under the rig, hidden, so it's not going to cause too much extra work for me. And another thing I got from Octane Designs, this is actually a replacement handle for the Husingveld shifter. I will do a whole video dedicated to this, but I figured, we'll throw it on the rig so we can start testing it out and, form some opinions about it for the future video. So we'll do that as well. And it also matches the Octane SEQ shifter. So that'll look nice together. And it kind of just gives a better grip, because the Husingveld grip, well, it does look really cool, but it is kind of narrow. And I mean, it's not like a problem, but Octane Designs just felt like they could make it, a little bit better, give people more options, which I think is cool. So my work table here got taken over by a bunch of Camaro parts, a bunch of billet aluminum parts that are all going to get anodized. I think most of it is either going to be anodized gray or anodized this, it's actually a Penske gold. I don't know how well you can see it, but the Penske suspension pieces have a gold anodized, and we had sent them some pieces to anodize the same color to test it out. So I think we're gonna have a lot of engine bay accents in this color and anodized gray. So that's pretty cool, but now I guess I'll have to work on my desk, which I don't have much space either, but oh well. Well, I just put this all together and I thought I was recording it, but I wasn't. But I got the Stream Deck inside the Apex button box, and I think that looks way better than just having the Stream Deck exposed. A funny little anecdote, my buddy that sent this to me, a good example of read the effing manual. The Stream Deck, he didn't know where the cable was supposed to go, and because there was no hole, and once you plug in the cable for the button box down here, just, get these functions, there's no room here. So he drilled a big ass hole in the bottom, but there's actually a pass-through, so unfortunately I didn't get recorded, but you just plug it in the USB into another USB connection here, and it passes through this one, so you only need one cable instead of two.
I can make your dreams come true. Make your dreams come true.
So the Octane handle is just a drop-in replacement. So it has all the same mounting holes. So it should be, oh shoot, what angle did I hit? I didn't pay attention to my angle. That feels pretty good. I like that. That's pretty nice. All right, I'm happy.
Let me get the
So after, like, I don't know, way too much time trying to get that tube to fit onto the, like, coupling, I gave up and I just used this, like, duct tape to hold it in, and it's works perfectly well. So that's all good. It was really frustrating because I have the same exact tubes. These are just the blue ones. And this one fit fine. On the opposite side, it fit fine. But that side, it didn't fit. But now I'm going to drill this one out and mount this one and wire it up.
If you want a good time, call somebody else. Call somebody else. If you want the bad vibe, call somebody else. Call somebody else. Call somebody.
All right, from a driving perspective, the rig is pretty much done. I can now put it on eBay. WinSim's all hooked up and working. The new button box is working well there. The shifter and handbrake are in a much better spot now, and the new handle feels good too. The WinSim is absolutely awesome. It's probably one of my favorite things about the rig now. It really helps keep me cooled down, and honestly, I don't even care about like the speed immersion factor. Just having cool air blow directly at you while driving is super nice. And then as we can see here, the bottom of the screen is no longer cut off by the SimCore mount, and the upright being much lower is blocking much less of the screen, so it's no longer in the way of the rear dash cams. The seat angle makes it way more comfortable to drive and feels much better. And overall, each change is like just a small little detail, but they all add up to make a much better driving experience, and the rig just feels really good right now. But that doesn't mean I haven't been running into issues. Unfortunately, iRacing just did an update that whenever somebody disconnects from the server, oh, is it happening right now? Oh, look, it's happening right now. What a coincidence. So you see I'm dropping to like 5 frames. Thought it was from people connecting and disconnecting from the server when an online lobby, but now it's happening in a test drive. I don't know what this is. I've seen other people in the forums are having this issue that are also running 7950X 3D chips with 4090s. And basically the whole game just freezes up and glitches out for like a minute, and then it starts working again eventually. And I wasn't sure if that was something coming from, you know, all these different devices that I have, if there was like a USB issue. So I spent a lot of time trying to figure out what was the cause of that, but I think that's because of iRacing's latest update, and that's on them, not on me. And then another issue I've been having is this belt tension R system. This thing is so finicky. It wants to work sometimes and then just disappears other times. Honestly, at this current time, unless I figure out a fix, I would stay away from this thing. It's been an absolute nightmare. I pulled out the USB cable that was all nicely cable managed out, so I can, instead of using the USB hub, it goes directly into the PC. That hasn't seemed to help. Not quite sure what to do with that going forward. But other than that, though, everything's been running pretty well. WinSim's been great. No issues with the motion system, and yeah, no issues with anything else. So overall, I'm pretty happy with the system. But yeah, all that's left is building that stand to replace that temporary shelf behind the rig, so I can get the 4th monitor, so I can mount the PC and get everything just a little bit cleaner there, get the, you know, ambient lighting system overhead and all that. I also want to get a webcam, because I know I used to use this camera mounted to the rig when it was static as my webcam, but I don't want to screw up this camera, so I'll probably just get like the nicest webcam I can get, so the quality is still decent, and just little things here and there that are probably more important for me from the creative side than so much more from the driving side. There still will be grades and stuff I want to do over time, like tactile transducers to get like the feel of the car, like engine vibrations and stuff like that, and just little road details that I can separate from the motion rig, all that dialed in. I don't know when I'll do that, but definitely something I'm looking in the future. But yeah, it's really the tiniest of details left. I want to get some more videos driving the rig, hopefully really soon. But overall, I think we might only have like one more video left of kind of finishing this whole setup completely. And I look forward to moving on to some more different kind of content as well. So I know this video was a long one. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I look forward to seeing you again in the future. And you know the drill. Thumbs up, subscribe, share. Am I missing anything? I think that was it. All right, I'll catch you guys next time. Peace.